Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily NVIDIA report for Monday, December 9th, 2024. Before I jump into the big picture, I just want to mention very briefly that WickedStocks.com put out two stock picks last week, one on Okta, the other on Roku. They're both very relevant, very tradable. We provide all the conditions necessary for acting on the significant signals we see emerging in both of those. And you can see it for free by signing up for WickedStocks.com and taking advantage of our 5-day free trial up front. We also cover the Triple Q, the SPY, weekly Apple stock. And in fact, I'm going to jump to really the Triple Q right now and show you a significant buy signal that did occur last week. Now, NVIDIA is obviously a significant part of this index, but the Triple Q did close above a 5-year channel top for the first time after having tested it initially in July and again over the last month or so. We settled above it by a full 1% margin, and this has indicated longer-term bullish continuation as we move through 25. That 697.52 full channel extension, now considered kind of an ultra long-term target that could take 2 years or so to reach, but we are in the midst of a long-term show of strength. There's more upside now, plenty more upside to come as far as I can tell technically for the Triple Q. But let's take a look at the long-term outlook once again. We do have, I'm going to show both upside and downside. You can see them here on the far right. Upside long-term resistance well above the market in the low to mid 170s, and downside long-term support well below the market in the low to mid 120s. The low to mid 170s are a convergent channel structures, 170, 179 to 175, 74, that we still are anticipating over the next, I'm going to say the next couple of months. But I'll get to that in a moment. And downside, we have the low to mid 120s, 120, 181 to 125, 16. That I would expect within 2 to 3 to 5 weeks of closing this week, Friday, below 137.15, which I'll get to in a moment. These are weekly bar charts, and I'm just showing kind of the big picture that we're kind of in the middle of a zone and nothing to do here as a long-term play. If we were to slip into the low to mid 120s, it is a buy opportunity through the first quarter. And if we were to rally into the low to mid 170s, it is a sell opportunity through the first quarter, maybe even longer term, as that 175.74 channel top is a full year structure. On to the midterm, you can see I've got the same numbers on the far right, except we've added 142 even. And 142 even, nothing more than the channel bottom that we settled back above Wednesday of last week after closing below it about a week earlier. It had been a meaningful sell signal when we settled below it almost 2 weeks ago, anticipating the low 120s at that time. But right now, it remains our support that can absorb selling not only for the week itself, but quite possibly through January trade. And above which, really expecting over the next 3 to 5 weeks or so, what is now 161.97 to 164.79. That 164.79 channel top is, by the way, on the weekly chart, the very same formation I showed earlier and here again at 171.79. So they're going to be different numbers based on whether it's a weekly chart or the daily chart. But we are expecting pushing into what is now the low to mid 160s and climbing over the next 3 to 5 weeks. Let me continue with the upside today, and this is kind of what we call the near-term outlook, the 3 to 5 days and out. I do think over the next 3 to 5 days, 142 holding above it will keep 148.88 in reach. That is a level that can contain daily buying pressures, but I'm surprised at how well this intermediate channel structure has actually held daily highs both Thursday and Friday of last week. We've slipped through it, but not by a wide margin. So, 148.48, I'm going to say we really do need to close above that today to yield 148.88 predictably on Tuesday. Until then, there's a bit of a battle here between 142 even and 144.48. And if we fall and break 142 even today, 137.15 is in reach. And that's meaningful on the weekly chart. That is the low of the high still. The high that was put out 3 weeks ago, that has bearing. If you look at just about any weekly bar chart, and you in any market, whether it's a commodity or a stock, and you put out an all-time high or a move high that's significant, several months in the making, the low of the high is a downward pivot point, and the high of the low is an upward pivot point. And when you close below the low of the high or above the high of the low, it usually has some directional bearing. In other words, if we were to close Friday below 137.15, I would expect the low to mid 120s within a matter of 2 to 3 to 5 weeks. But what does that do for us today with respect to the 142 even, a channel bottom that we see here? 137.15, is it in reach today? It is in reach, I'm going to say potentially. If we were to break 142 even, 137.15 in reach today. If we close below 142 even, is that a sell signal? I don't really want to go that far. I really don't think it is a significant sell signal. I really think our sell signal would be 137.15. We may be able to map this out a little better over the next day or two to see what kind of fleshes out on the daily chart. But at this point in time, I think if you were to go short through the week, it would be with a settlement below 137.15. I will say, though, depending on your stop loss, your money management strategy, your risk management strategy, I'm not trying to encourage you that if you're long now, based on the settlement last week back above the 142 even channel bottom, if you're long because of it and we happen to violate 142 even, if your stop loss would be below 137.15 and it would violate your risk management rules, I'm not encouraging that at all. I want you to maintain your same risk management. I just want to say that I don't see a sign of meaningful bearish continuation through the rest of the week unless we were to close today below 137.15. Until then, unfortunately, it is about a 5-point range that begins at 142 even. And so, we've been testing 142 even. We tested it on Friday. We can come off of it nicely. And I think if I go back just to the daily chart, that 144.48 channel top will have something to say about meaningful gains as we continue into later week. Pushing through, opening above 144.48 today will keep 148.88 in reach today, where a daily high can be placed. If we close above 148.88, 153.98 is likely within a day or two. But if we close above 148.88, that just sort of underscores, our objective at the 161.97 formation anyway, which I outlined earlier. And you can actually see similar structures here where it's kind of a combination of 161.97 and 164.79. So if we close above the 148.88 level in the coming days, that underscores our, really is kind of a mid-160s to mid-170s objective. And that could be within 2 to 3 weeks of closing above 148.88. I hope that all made sense. If we close today below 142 even, we fall back to 137.15 as our base of support for the week. And if we close below 137.15 on Friday, I'm throwing in the towel on any sort of bullish anticipation, then expecting actually reversing and playing the short side into the low to mid 120s, possibly by the end of December. I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's all there is to say. Please click like, share, subscribe. I will be back tomorrow, of course, with Tuesday's NVIDIA report. You have a great evening.